Welcome to the Department of Life Sciences podcast for Women at Imperial Week 2026. International Women's Day 2026 centres on the theme Give to Gain, the idea that progress happens when we intentionally give respect, voice, care, knowledge, opportunities, and resources to others. In a university community, that giving doesn't only apply in lecture theatres or laboratories. It happens in offices, technical spaces, meetings, emails, and everyday interactions that keep the system running. We're bringing together voices from across the Department of Life Sciences, from administration, technical teams, research, and teaching, to reflect on what giving has meant in their working lives and what we can all gain when equity and support are shared responsibilities. In this episode, we are joined by Sevi. Sevi, could you tell us a little bit about your role at Imperial and a fun fact or maybe a part of your role you find most rewarding?
Of course. I'm a teaching fellow in Ecology, Evolution, and Diversity. And I joined Imperial 4 years ago um, with high motivation in teaching, really. I've been doing research in all my professional life, and I really wanted to make that slight turn in my career to teaching. So yeah, I mostly teach undergraduate students, and I find that extremely rewarding as a process, because I get to meet people straight, fresh out of high school, at the beginning of their, at least of what they endeavor to be their careers. And then in that sharp curve, I tend to see all the change that's happening in the first 3 years. Some of these students do keep in touch after their undergraduate studies, after their master studies, and they're always keen to come back and discuss how things progressed. That's rewarding, I think.
And you touched on this a little bit, but what motivated you to pursue a career as like a teaching focused academic?
Well, to be very honest, alongside teaching, I still maintain an active research program that's on microbiology in extreme environments, my personal passion in biology, in life sciences. But I think that it's been a long process, my decision to fully actively join teaching. I very early started teaching in my professional career, already as a PhD student, as our wonderful PhD students support our practicals and other activities here at Imperial. I started with that role and I enjoyed it very much. And as a young postdoc, I had to step in to substitute for maternity cover for the professor who was teaching most of the microbiology-related modules. It felt a huge workload and a huge responsibility, and I remember I felt drained after each lecture of all the effort I was putting in. But it was also so energizing and rewarding. So I've been looking for positions where I can fully develop that, I can fully teach. So it was a personal calling for years, and it finally materialized into that position at Imperial 4 years ago.
Yeah, and it's really good to hear that despite being a teaching focused academic, that you have opportunities to maintain your research.
Yes, I feel that now I have more control over my research than before. surprising as though it might sound, that's because now I can organize my research time the way I want to. There is, of course, a research grant behind it and all the deliverables we normally have. But because the teaching role gives me back so much energy and is so much rewarding, I think that my research has also benefited from it. That extra energy that I've been receiving from teaching, I think it goes very productively into research. And I very much appreciate the opportunities I was given at Imperial to continue with my research, although my role and my job description is really focusing mostly on teaching. But I feel that it's understood by the department that the two go hand in hand, teaching and research. So there is equal support on both, I believe.
And that's really, really great to hear. And developing on that a little bit more, when you hear this theme that we have for International Women's Day in 2026 of Give to Gain, what does that mean to you in the context of your work?
Give to Gain, to me, I think it's about generosity. And I was really happy that was this year's theme for International Women's Day, because it's been, a couple of decades now that I've been thinking that women, especially in an academic context, they are characterized by that generosity in many ways. Generosity of spirit, giving without expecting anything back, but also giving without keeping a score about how much one gives. I have seen and I have met wonderful women in these 20 years now. I've been an academic, that women that organize symposia without a score on that. They organize lab activities, they organize events, they organize birthday parties for colleagues, they organize retirement or maternity presents. Women that organize the molecular lab because it feels messy. Women that catalog over and over again the stock we have at the lab because we don't want to spend some extra money. People that, in general, I say women because I've seen mostly women doing that, but of course there are people who do all that housekeeping and well-being job that's essential for a good working environment. And I feel that's part of the generosity described with Give to Gain. And to me, because the score of all that is never kept, these are elements that are crucial and essential for a very good working environment, a working environment that can produce high quality research, a working environment that will keep everyone happy and celebrate their differences and help people progress. But all these elements are, I think, very often don't count. These are elements that don't count for personal promotions. Yes, you've been a very nice person. Yes, you've organized several events this year for the well-being of the team, but that doesn't really count towards a promotion, does it? What really counts towards promotion is the papers you've produced or the qualifications that you have gained this year. So this extra time, effort, this extra generosity and extra kindness people express is not taken into account So I think a celebration of give to gain is all about that. But these day-to-day things have such a huge impact on people's careers and progression and promotion and achievement, really. I have a very personal example on that, and I feel insanely grateful because last year I had to go on maternity leave at a point, and I have received all this generosity by these three wonderful women who have supported my research and the continuation of my teaching work for a few months so that I can come back without losing my sense of belonging, without a career gap, and without any disadvantages compared to any of my male co-workers. So that support and that generosity I have received from these three wonderful colleagues, they all happen to be women, but it could not have been the case. I think it's a coincidence there, but they have all been very generous, and they have supported my own academic path and my career development. And except for a huge thank you and maybe some chocolate, there is, I think, no other institutional way of rewarding that generosity.
Yeah, I think that's really powerful. I wonder, what are ways now that you try and give back to others?
Yes. Now I'm. How do I try to give to other people in my role? Well, there are formal and informal ways. There is one element. It might sound anecdotal that, and I might regret saying that, that I enjoy very much doing is reference letters. I very much love writing good things about the people I've met, good things about the students I've met, all the efforts they've put in during their studies and everything that they've done exceptionally or less exceptionally. I very much enjoy doing that. I hope the students who are going to be listening to that do not take that, do not take advantage of that and then keep bombarding me with reference letter requests because I always say yes. So that's one thing that I try to do and give as much as I can, and I enjoy doing. But taking it further, I really try never to say no to colleagues who may need support. I very often try to step into people's shoes and try to understand the difficulties they might be in. But even when I'm not able to do that, I try not to say no because in a request, because you never know what's behind them, what actual need may be hidden behind. And I understand that people in academia, and especially in a top-ranking university, have a personal difficulty asking for help. So when that comes down to asking for help, it means that people are maybe at their limits or they absolutely need that support. So I try never to say no to such requests. I feel that in the past I was very good at all the housekeeping bits. Uh, I don't do that anymore because life happens and time is much more limited. But I used to enjoy that as well, organizing birthday parties and surprises and retirement parties. I used to love that.
Yeah, and to still keep developing on that, what is maybe some advice you might give to your past self?
Mm-hmm. Yes, I've given that quite some thought, but I think I would tell my younger self to go for it, not to be shy. I would tell myself to acknowledge first and foremost my personal, smaller or bigger achievements without expecting others to do it for me. And use all the small and big wins in my career path as stepping stones to climb higher, aim bigger, without losing the humor and the generosity of spirit. They are not two contradictory things. You don't stop being kind if you aim higher. That's the advice I would give myself. That's a misconception I've been having for years, that it's, well, there's a contradiction there between being kind and being a high achiever. I think both our students and our colleagues over the last 4 or 5 years have taught me that very well, because I am surrounded now by high achievers at different levels, people who do great, and they have not lost their generosity of spirit or kindness. There is still kindness, generosity, and happiness there amongst high achievers. I think the lesson I've learned over the 4 years is something I would tell my younger self.
Yeah, you don't have to be ruthless to be successful. You can still be kind, you can still be generous, and actually uplifting people around you can actually be the greatest way that you can succeed. I think it's really important what you said as well about be ambitious, have the courage to apply for those jobs, apply for that research grant.
Yes, go for it. There's nothing keeping you behind. Go for it is the advice that I would give my younger self, and anyone really. Go for it.
I think that's a really, really powerful message. And now this leads me to my last question, really, which is if the powers that be, either in the department, in the faculty, Imperial, or even in the wider academic sector are listening to you, what's something that you would change, considering this theme of give to gain?
I've given that some thought, and give to gain, the theme for this year's International Women's Day helps a lot. So I would ask those in a role of decision making to rethink what giving looks like, and rethink of it structurally and not just interpersonally. Now, right now, as we've discussed previously, a lot of that care work, housekeeping work in academia is falls on certain people. Maybe disproportionately on women, but it's a common sentence we use. It's always the same people who do these things. And there are people who are on that role of giving. But I think it's high time that giving is measured in a way, is counted in a way. I really hope that this giving, that generosity in every way, counts towards promotion, towards having skills being recognized. It's not simply kindness. I think it's about equity, really. So if Give to Gain was more than this year's International Women's Day theme, I would say make giving visible, rewarded in any way. Let people express themselves. Let people express that kindness, generosity, and generosity of spirit and intellect in a safe space. Let's build that safe space, make it safer so that people can blossom.
great. And I think recognition is super, super important when it comes to give to gain. But my final word is thank you, Sevi, for being involved in this podcast. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you so much for inviting me. It was a pleasure, really.